Letter of recommendation. It is unarguably the most important step and document in the admission process in US universities. It is certainly important than the SOP, and in certain cases, it is even important than your GRE score itself. Think about this way. In LOR, multiple people, your managers, your supervisors, advisors, and the people who have the proven track record, they are recommending you for the program. They have the confidence that you will succeed and will add value to the program and to the university. And that's what universities in US and the admission committee is looking for. In this video, I'm going to discuss how you can get a winning letter of recommendation. Interested? Keep watching. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is a part of US video series where I have made multiple videos on these different aspects of admission in US, career and job. I would encourage you to watch those videos if you haven't already. If you like them, give them a thumbs up. If you have suggestions, give me in the comment section. And if you would like to join the family, consider subscribing. In US, LORs are the very important step of application process. In fact, the most important step. Typically, schools in US ask for 2 recommendations or sometimes 3. So in case of 2 recommendations, the first recommendation you can take from your academic professor. You have to pick a professor whom you interfaced significant amount of time during the course of your stay in the college, who can comment on your strengths, on your abilities and positive points. Obviously, the ideal choice here is your thesis supervisor, or your project supervisor, or a professor whom you had experience doing TA with. If you don't have any one of those, just pick a professor who gave you good grades in the class, and you also have a good relationship with him at the same time. Don't just take a recommendation from any professor, or from a professor who just took few guest lectures, or from a colleague, or from a HOD or dean of the college, or from a professor who taught you engineering physics in the first semester and the course you are applying right now in US university is MS Computer Science. These recommendations generally weigh very less. So you have to be very careful whom you ask for recommendation. The second reco you can take from your workplace. Now in case of work reco, it could be your manager who directly manages you or have managed in the past. In case of internship, it's just simply your manager. Either would work just as fine. Now in case you don't have any work experience, you can take both the recommendations from your academic professor. No worries. In case of school asking 3 recos, the third one you can take either type. But if you are applying for a MBA program, it is recommended that you take 2 recommendations from work-related reco. Many schools now prefer online recommendations. When you apply for admission online and start filling up application form in the portal, it will ask you to provide name, email address, contact address, phone number, relationship with you, and designation of the recommender. Therefore, it is always a good idea to talk to your recommender before you submit the online application. Personal email IDs like Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmails are not recommended here. Always provide the official email ID. It establishes credibility. The official email IDs ends with the company name in case of company and ends with institution name in case of institution. For example, if you worked for Reliance, the official email ID would end at the rate of reliance.com. Or if you got education in IIT Delhi, the official email ID would end at the rate of iitd.ac.in. So make sure you give official email IDs of your recommender. In case your recommenders do not have one, you can ask them to print the recommendation letter on their official letterhead, stamp it, sign it, and upload in the portal. That will work just as fine. Remember that your application is not complete until your recommenders upload the letter of recommendation in the portal. Therefore, it's your duty to follow up with your recommenders time to time. It's also a good idea to check the status of your application online in the portal. You can check there which recommenders have uploaded the letter of recommendations and which haven't. And in case somebody hasn't, you can personally follow up on that. Now comes a very important part, writing of recommendation letter for you. Ideally, your recommender should write a recommendation letter for you. If they do that, very good. But in many cases, the recommender, especially from India, they will ask you to write a draft for them, and they will edit that draft or add some point if they need to. So in that case, if they ask you to write a recommendation letter for you, you have to be very careful. Following are the points that you must consider while drafting a letter of recommendation for you. First, don't just copy any letter of recommendation from the internet. That is the most common mistake students do. Every student is different. So should the LOR. A typical length of LOR is 1 page or 3 to 4 paragraphs. But this is not a hard and fast rule. If you need to write more, you can write 3 to 4 pages and more paragraphs. The first paragraph or the introductory paragraph should usually include the information about the recommender. Use this paragraph to elaborate on the relationship with the student, that is you. Include the information about how long and well you know the student. In what capacity have you interacted, that is faculty, advisor, manager, supervisor, and so on. The second paragraph is usually about where you talk about the student exclusively, his strengths, achievements, and strong points, and the reason why are you recommending him. Highlight the most important academic achievement here. That will add a wow factor to it. For example, if you have won a gold medal, Olympiad, prestigious scholarship, or if you were a high ranker in the national entrance level exam, highlight here. That's your chance to highlight it. In the next paragraph, you can add the real life example. Examples which led you believe that the student will be successful in his future career. The next paragraph could be about your social life. I always recommend my students to use this social life experience towards their advantage. You could write something like, in his free time, he went above and beyond to help other students in the class clearing their doubts in the subject. By writing so, you are portraying a picture of a student who is not only sociable, but helpful, strong in the subject, and totally passionate about the subject. A very important point which often students miss to highlight is, if you are a national level player or a state level player, you must highlight that in your letter of recommendation also. Typically, the admission committee goes softer towards national level or state level players. So if you are a national level or state level player, do highlight that. But if you are not, don't bother. Try to quantify success and achievements. Put numbers in there. For example, the statement, Raj is a very sharp and quick learner, is a poor way to write a recommendation. Instead, write, I would rate Raj in top 10% of students I have ever taught or supervised in my 20 years of career. Here is another example. Sam was among top 3 students who have received so and so award in a competition, beating 5,000 other students. These are very strong statements which portrays the number and quantify the success and kind of tells the admission committee that how hard was the competition. Remember, in order to make an impact on the admission committee, you have to portray the picture of scale of competition in quantifiable manner. Use numbers. Use words which establish certainty. Don't use words like maybe, may, or he might. These words lack confidence and hence a bad and poor choice to write these words in your LOR. Refrain from praising yourself. Instead, give reasons for any praise word you used in the letter of recommendation. Connect it to the real life experience and say, because of this, I call him doer, hard worker, or keen learner, so and so forth. So always give reason for any praise words you use in your letter of recommendation. In the concluding paragraph, you can strongly recommend the candidate for the program. You can also touch base on asking financial support for the candidate from the admission committee. A common mistake a lot of candidates do, they throw a lot of GRE words in their letter of recommendation. Don't do that unless you need to. Admission committee is not judging you based on the level of English that is in the letter of recommendation. So don't use any GRE words in your letter of recommendation. Since you will be writing 2 or 3 letter of recommendations yourself, make sure your style is different and the flavor of writing is different for all these 2 or 3 letter of recommendations. So do not word repeats and lines from one letter of recommendation in the other letter of recommendation. Finally, get your draft proofread by a senior or someone who has gone through this process and who knows the process very well. Take experts' advice. Last but not the least, never ever copy any line or phrase from your statement of purpose. Because remember that statement of purpose is written by you and LORs are written by your recommenders. So do not repeat any information from your statement of purpose in your letter of recommendation. It's very important. If you do all these things I mentioned in this video, I'm sure you will increase your chances of getting into the dream university. Let me know any questions you may have in the comment section. I'll see you in the next one.